Hey everybody, Tiny Texter here with Cheap Tattooing, and I've gotten several emails about how you tune a tattoo machine without having the proper equipment, like having a power supply that doesn't tell the duty or the hertz on it, and how you set your spring tension without having a spring gauge and stuff like that. And this is a machine that a friend of mine sent me that he got out of a kit that he got where he got it with several machines and ink and uh, needles and all that all in one kit out of it. And it's just a little machine, and he wanted to use it for a liner, and he just hasn't been able to get it to run quite right. But what you want to do first of all is to set them up, and it doesn't matter whether it's a $10 machine or a $100 machine or a $50 machine, or what machine you're using. The first thing that you want to do is, if you don't have the right equipment, you want to get a pencil, and it doesn't matter whether it's a colored pencil or a regular pencil. You want to make a small notch in the bottom of it or in the eraser, and you want to stick it up through the tube vise, and you want to see if your springs are centered. And as you can see on this one here, it's not. It's over to the side a little bit. And what that does is that causes your needles to grind on your tubes, and you don't want that to happen, because that'll cause slivers to go inside. That'll cause slivers to go inside of your client, metal slivers or plastic slivers or whatever type of tube you're using to go inside your client, and you don't want that to happen. It'll also cause the timing of your machine to go off. So even though you tune your machine, your tuning will go off. So you want to get that straightened out, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. Now, with these machines that you get out of these kits, they put these screws on here pretty tight, so using an Allen wrench is pretty hard sometimes. So you usually need to get a pair of pliers, and you want to get a pair of pliers and twist that screw off of there, and then you can use an Allen wrench to loosen it up the rest of the way and take that spring off of there. And you want to get a needle file and file that center down until it's filed down enough down in the center here to where it's filed down enough to where you can slide it back enough on there to where when you put it on, it sets even with your tube vise. So when you stick your pencil up through there again, it sets nice and even, and you got a nice even gap in between there. Next you want to take and you want to, if you're going to use it for a liner, you want to take and adjust your gap so that you got just a dime gap in there. And that's just a guess, because every machine is different, so you're only guessing at it, and the real trick comes in that every machine is different, so you have to practice. You have to use grapefruit, you have to use practice skin and everything like that. So you're going to have to do fine-tuning while you're practicing. That to get the perfect lines, you're going to have to do a little more adjusting while you're practicing to get those perfect lines. That's the only way that you're going to actually be able to get those perfect lines. That's why you practice. Even skilled artists, when they have their $500 machines or their $300 machines, they still have to ask their clients if they can do a little bit of adjusting too. They're not just going out and getting them perfect right away. Or even when they have their machines, their power supplies, and they set it up to 133 hertz and 54 duty cycle, they still have to ask the client if they can do a little more adjusting to get that liner just right, because it's not coming out exactly how they want it. So you never know until you actually get it in the skin or you're actually practicing with it to know if you've got it exactly right. Let's see how this sounds. That sounds really good. It's got a nice blur on it. It sounds really good. That's at 6.5 volts. And I wouldn't mess with it from there. You want to go with the least amount of volts possible, and then turn it up 1 volt from there. So let me turn this down to 5.5 volts, and it doesn't run at 5.5 volts. And it runs at 6.5 volts just fine. So you want to run it at 6.5 volts on this one, which is just fine. And then for tattooing, you want to turn it up 1 volt from there when you actually get your needle in there. And that's where you should run it at. I have another machine here. This one here is a custom made machine that I built, or that I had built. It has the rear deck on it is movable. It moves up and down and side to side. This one here is straight up and down on it. Now whenever you order in springs, the springs are come in only certain sizes, so you have to grind down each set of springs that you get. Not all of them are going to fit your machine, and not all of them are going to be the exact same size, because every machine is different. So you want to make sure that you adjust for that. There's a little bit of give on each spring, but you know, when you order in your springs, make sure that you have a set of needle files. And like I said, you can get those from any hardware store or any hobby shop for around $5. This machine here I have set up for a liner. And it's not running at 6 volts. But I got the wrong cord. That's 5.5 volts there, and it's running perfect at 5.5 volts, and that's for a liner. But every spring is different. You want to make sure that you have that ground down just right and have it evened out so that it goes perfectly down the center of your tube hole. And that's one of the big things. But without proper equipment, you can do it with a pencil and a needle file or a Dremel. A Dremel works better if you have it. That's all for now. Thanks a lot. Take care.